Hello everyone and welcome back to the Football Rundown. Of course, we're back here today with a match preview as Stockport County take on Huddersfield Town away this upcoming weekend. First of all, I want to apologise. There was no match preview or no match day vlog for the game against Reading last weekend. I wasn't feeling 100%, so no preview went out. And whilst I did have footage from the game at Reading, I just wasn't up to it. So I decided not to put anything out. So I do apologise for that one. But back as usual now. So of course the preview today and of course the match day vlog on Saturday as usual. So I'm very much looking forward to that one. And look, let's be fair. I was very much looking forward to the game against Reading. It just didn't turn out to be a great day for Stockport County. Of course, once again a goal up, and then we managed to not hold on to it. So we let Reading back in the game and it finished all level. So what looked like a promising day at half time for Stockport County last Saturday turned out to be a disappointing day in the end. And as I say, what should have been 3 points was just 1 point. And I suppose you could look at it, and if you want to talk about the last 2 or 3 games as a block of 3 matches in terms of Cardiff, Rotherham and Reading, I think we should have had 9 points from that, and I think we've come away and we've got 5 points from it. So disappointing. The last couple of games, we're looking for a response, and I think the header on the screen is, we're in need of a run of wins, and I think we are, because I think that we're very much getting into the season now, and I think that we need to start getting a couple of wins together. Because we want to be up there at the end of the season. A lot of investment's gone into this project over the last few years. I know that the owner has been on a podcast with the Peterborough owner this week. I've not yet listened to it, but I am interested in listening to that. And I think he's outlined ambitions to potentially be in the Premier League in the next couple of years as well, which is very ambitious. Some might say it's not realistic. Certainly if we're looking at it over the last few weeks, just results from the last few weeks, it doesn't look like we're anywhere near close to that at the moment. What I would say is it's a long season and we're still in the top half of the table. And if we can get a couple of runs, a couple of wins together, a bit of a run of form, then I think that County can end up being in a really, really good spot. I think the good thing as well is we do have players set to come back over the next few weeks. I wouldn't say Stockport County have had a bad start to the season as such because of injuries, but I think having players back from injury, having a bigger squad, could give us a bit of a boost. So that is something to look forward to. Of course, before we get properly into this match preview, we will just have a quick look at the League One table as it stands going into this weekend. So as you can see, top of League One, Bradford maintained top spot after their 1-0 win over Blackpool last weekend. Stevenage and Lincoln joined Bradford in the top 3 positions, as the trio were the only clubs to have lost just once so far in League One this season. In at 4th, Cardiff City, the Bluebirds missed out on an opportunity to take back top spot as they were beaten for a second time in just a matter of weeks when they lost narrowly 1-0 to Burton at home midweek. Huddersfield start the weekend in 5th, and a win for the Terriers this weekend could potentially put them as high as 2nd. County sit 8th and could overtake this weekend's opponents should we pick up all 3 points on Saturday. Into the bottom half, a gap is starting to appear, but it's still just 7 points from 24th and the top half of the table. What I would say is a couple of good wins for those sides at the bottom, and they could still turn their season around. So it's still all to play for at the bottom of the table. No massive gaps have yet emerged, but those teams at the bottom of the table don't want to pick up a couple of points, and I think that Burton getting that win midweek, it's put them from up to 22nd. So who knows? Potentially a bit of a run of form for Burton, and hopefully could maybe see themselves out the relegation zone over the next couple of weeks. So that is the League One table. Then Huddersfield, of course, start the weekend in 5th. Stockport County in 8th. What's going on with Huddersfield then at the moment? Well, what I can say is the new manager, Lee Grant, who took the job in the summer, it's his debut season as a manager. 10 League One matches Huddersfield have played so far this season, 6 wins, 1 draw and 3 defeats. 3rd highest scorers in League One so far this season, 16 league goals, but 11 goals conceded. They have the joint most clean sheets in League One with Cardiff, so that's 6 clean sheets between, for both Cardiff and Huddersfield. Last 5 League One games, 2 wins, 2 draws and just a 1 defeat. Alfie May, who you may remember, played for Birmingham last season, scored 16 League One goals for Birmingham last season as they earned promotion. He has 2 goals and 1 assist so far this season, although he isn't their top scorer, and he's also not had a goal involvement since his assist in early September versus Peterborough. Their top scorer, though, is ex-Luton striker Joe Taylor. He's the Terriers' top scorer with 3 league goals so far this season. So that's what we can say about Huddersfield Town, of course. Stockport County, of course, 1 win in our last 5 League One matches off the back of a draw at home last weekend. County have not drawn back-to-back league games since drawing with Northampton and Charlton back in March this year. We also drew back-to-back league games on 4 occasions, I think it was 4 separate occasions last season. County have dropped points from leading first in 5 of our 10 League One matches so far this season, with 4 of those ending in a draw. When I saw that, I mean, it's pretty shocking, really, to be honest. I mean, the biggest problem I can say about Stockport County so far this season, we just haven't managed to be clinical enough in front of goal. When we tend to go a goal up, we tend to not manage to get that second. And like I say, we do struggle to add to our lead. In fact, we've only failed to win in 2 of our 5 League One matches so far this season when we've scored 2 or more. So that says that when we manage to get that second goal, we generally manage to get a better result more often than not. So that would be the key to me. That would be the key thing for me. You know, if we go a goal up on Saturday, we need to go and get that second, when we need to show a little bit of risk to get that second, because sitting on a 1-0 win doesn't seem to work. I've obviously just made a point as well about saying that Stockport County haven't been clinical in front of goal so far this season, but I think that one player that has appeared to be sort of better or improved his ability in front of goal this season, to be fair, it's Wootton. I think if you look at it, he's the league's joint highest scorer, 5 league goals so far this season. It's actually 5 from his 8 shots on target so far this season in League One. He's also contributed with 3 assists, putting him top for goal involvements in the whole league. But then talking about sort of how well Wootton's done so far this season, he has done well in terms of goal contributions. One player that seems to be struggling in front of goal right now is his strike partner, Andresson. Of course, he started the last couple of games. I think he started each of the last 3 matches. But in that time, he's managed to put himself top in the league for shots on target per 90. And he's also ranked 2nd highest for expected goals per 90. So he really does need that goal. He's obviously getting a lot of shots off, shots on target, shots that really should be going in. Unfortunately, it's just not clicked for him as of yet. What I would say is he's putting in a hard shift. He's getting in the right positions. He just needs one to go in. And I think, I've said it before, I think we'll start to see a couple of goals rolling in for him, because he is that kind of a player. We saw his quality when he came on. I think it was off the bench at Blackpool at Edgeley Park this February or March. We've seen the quality he's got in front of goal when he's on it, when he's feeling confident. I think at the moment his confidence is sort of lacking. It's not quite there, and you can kind of understand why. He's not scored for Stockport County since I think it was May against Wycombe, so he needs that goal. He's short of confidence. And if he can get that goal this weekend, like I say, I think he'll start to hit form. And if he can start to hit form, you've got Wootton scoring and assisting goals at the moment. You get Andresson scoring as well. It really could be a boost for the team. Like you say, we are looking for that second goal when we go a goal up at the moment. You know, who's going to get that second? There's not a lot of goals in the side at the moment, but if I was going to put my money on anyone going into this season, Andresson would have been someone that I would have been expecting to have scored by now, to be fair. And what I would say is he has had limited minutes until the last couple of games. He's got good, he's had good chances in each of those last 3. He just needs to score one. I think this is going to be an interesting topic of debate as well for me. Jayden Fevrier, of course, I'm sure he's highly rated by most of the fan base. He's certainly a player that I enjoy watching. But I suppose the question mark would be, should Jayden Fevrier start for Stockport County? And I think a lot of people would say yes to that. I think I've got a different take on it. I actually think that he shouldn't start for Stockport County. And there's a couple of reasons as to why I think that should be the case. Obviously, we know that County tend to play with a 5 at the back or 3 at the back, depending on how you look at it. So we don't play with natural wingers. We tend to only have one out wide on each side as wing backs, rather than a full back and a winger. So for me, already the system and the formation doesn't suit Jayden Fevrier from the get-go. So I don't think he's a right wing back. I think he's very much a right winger. That he's better when he's got a full back, but sort of behind him doing the defensive sort of duties. So for me, Fevrier is brilliant going forward. He's really quick. He's great one-on-one. He's not the most clinical in front of goal, but he can score goals. For me though, every time I watch him play, he seems to have more of an impact off the bench. So Rotherham the other week, I think 2 weeks ago, he looked really sharp off the bench. I don't think he didn't get any direct goal involvements, but I think the goal initially came from him putting a ball in. I think from the other side, it came back out, and then I think Norwood put the ball in. I could be wrong, but he certainly had moments where he threatened that Rotherham defence off the bench, and he looked like a real threat. I think what happened in that game was we were playing the 5 at the back from the get-go. we were able to change shape a little bit in the second half, or we certainly allowed Fevre to have a lot more sort of freedom to attack because he just seemed to be let loose. And I think that when that happened, he looked really threatening. So for me, Jaden Fevre is much better when he's got the freedom to attack and not having to worry about defending. I also think he's a better option off the bench because when I look at it, and I've got the stats here, so far this season he's had one direct goal involvement, and that was his goal, of course, against Wigan, where he did actually start, and I think he scored in the first 5 minutes. So that does kind of go against my logic a little bit here, but a bit more behind it, which kind of backs me up a little bit more, is last season Fevre had 6 direct goal involvements in League One from 27 League One matches. Of course, he made his mark when he came off the bench against Cambridge on opening day. That cross into the box for Wootton, that was the second goal of the game. He also scored the following week at Blackpool, again off the bench. So his goal and 2 assists in a 3-2 comeback as well over Lincoln in late April, again off the bench at half time. His only direct impact from starting came in Stevenage, where he played 67 minutes and started, where he scored at 25 minutes in as County won 3-0. That's the only game where he scored or had a goal involvement in a game he started last season. So generally, the majority of his goal involvements, they have come when he's come off the bench. So for me, he's more of an impact player. I think he's a brilliant player, but I think he's more of an impact player. And for that reason alone, unless you're going to play a system which allows him to play starting the game on the right wing with a fullback behind him, which doesn't happen, then for me he shouldn't be a starter for Stockport County. But he's very much a player to look to bring on early on in the second half. That sort of brings me on nicely as well to the predicted 11, or the 11 I think we should go with for this weekend. Of course, I think we'll go with the 3-4 sort of 1-2 formation that we've gone with the last couple of weeks, where we sort of play with the 2 up top, the sort of 10 behind the 2 strikers, that 2-man midfield, which is an unusual 2-man midfield. And I think it's pretty much the same as the one we went with against Reading last weekend. I think it's obviously Hinchcliffe back in goal again, Alowu, Hills and Pye for me as the 3 centre-backs. Onyango at right wing-back, Ben Osborne at left wing-back, Odin Bailey, Norwood as the 2 central midfielders, Jack Diamond behind the strikers, Benno Andresson and Cal Wootton up top. So for me, I think that's the best back 3 partnership at the moment. I think Alowu picks itself on that sort of wide right centre-back role. Same with Pye at left centre-back. I think Hills would look better since he's played sort of central in the back 3. Onyango played at right wing back on Saturday. I thought he did a steady job. He's not really a right wing back in my opinion. He certainly doesn't drive forward that often from that position, I don't think. But he did a steady job in that game. Certainly seems to be a bit better in my opinion than Corey O'Keefe. He just doesn't seem to have it in him. I think Challoner feels like he's made a bit of a mistake bringing in Corey O'Keefe at the moment. Doesn't really seem to be wanting to play him. I think we struggle with right back or right wing back. I think that's a real issue for us at the moment. So I would go with Onyango. He looks like the most steady to play there, but he's not the most adventurous going forward in that area, that sort of position. One player that has made us look a lot more solid is Ben Osborne on the left hand side, that sort of left wing back role. He's sort of taken that position and made it his own. We're not really questioning who's going to play there whilst he's fit at the moment. So that is something, to be fair, the recruitment team has managed to get right, bringing him in. I don't think we've looked that sort of bad at all down the left hand side. So for me, Ben Osborne picks itself at left wing back. Norwood and Odin Bailey is the 2 central midfielders. I think Bailey's come in the last few weeks. To be fair, I think he's been brilliant as a central midfielder alongside Norwood. We were saying about how Norwood needs legs around him. Well, you've certainly got that with Odin Bailey. He certainly covers ground, but I just question whether or not at times we don't have enough in the middle to really dominate the game. But I think that's something, to be fair, we could maybe do once we get a couple of midfielders back, the likes of Callum Camps, Lewis Bate. If you can play 3 players in the middle, the middle of the park, I think we will start to look a bit more dominant in the game, a bit more assertive in possession as well. So that would be sort of the midfield 4 or the midfield sort of 2 central midfielders for me. I wouldn't look to change that. Jack Diamond sort of playing in that sort of 10 position. He's probably the best we've got at the moment. He missed a big chance against Reading on Saturday. He's been a little bit cold the last couple of weeks, but he started the season fairly well. Hopefully it'll click for him again this weekend. Of course, I just spoke about Wootton and Andresson before, both doing well, but one's having more joy in front of goal than the other at the moment. Hopefully that can change this weekend. Hopefully we can see Benno Andresson get his first goal of the season. It's something that I think would be really important, not just for him personally, but also for the team, because we are needing goals. We are needing to add to our lead, and if you can get Bano Andresson starting to score goals, I think the two will go hand in hand. If you've got Andresson scoring goals, Wootton scoring goals, Stockport County will start to score more than one a game, and therefore I think we'll start to see us win games, win more games hopefully. So that's the team I would look to go with. I want to get your thoughts, of course, on this one. I mean, if you just look at it, I think it's going to be a really tough game against Huddersfield this weekend. They're also unbeaten as well at home so far this season in League One, so it is going to be a tough game. It's the kind of game you don't want. Having said that, we said that about the game against Cardiff on the back of the Plymouth results. So, and we put in a good performance there. I think for me the frustration is when I look at it, I thought Cardiff, we put in a really solid performance, probably the most consistent we've played over the course of both halves this season as well. I thought Rotherham was an improvement on that. I thought we played better in the Rotherham game than we did against Cardiff, albeit against a weaker opposition. I thought that against Rotherham everything went right, other than the fact that we probably didn't get the second goal, which I would have liked us to have done. And then you go into the Reading game thinking, again, really on paper it should be a winnable game, especially at home, and especially after the results we got against them last season and the fact they were 20th, I think, in the table going into that game. To sort of come away from that game having only got a point is disappointing, especially when we were leading a goal at half time, we're 1-0 up. I thought it was a steady first half. I thought it was a decent first half, to be fair. Maybe a bit of fortune with the goal, but we'll take it. Certainly wasn't the most sort of spectacular goal we've scored, but we put it in the back of the net. That's all that matters. And you go into half time thinking, I don't feel threatened at any point in this first half by Reading. So really, we should have gone out there, been a bit more positive. Second half, we should have looked to have got the second and sort of either gone for a third or seen that one out. But yeah, we just didn't do that, and it was very obvious to me early on in the second half that Reading was starting to get themselves back in the game, and I really felt that we needed to make some sort of changes, substitutions, just to freshen the game up, just to give Reading something to think about. We obviously didn't really do that. We sort of allowed Reading to go a goal, not a goal up, but sort of go a goal level and equalise before we really seemed to do much, and I found that frustrating. And I think once Reading scored, I don't think we ever really looked like we were going to get a second and win the game. So it was disappointing, especially on the back of the previous 2 weeks, which had looked really promising. But of course, it's a new week against Huddersfield away from home. They're, as I say, unbeaten at home so far this season, and hopefully Stockport County can somehow manage to get a result. But I do think we need to start winning games of football. We need to get on a run of wins. And hopefully that can happen at John Smith's Stadium this weekend. But yeah, I mean, if I'm going to go for a score prediction, which I hate doing, I always go with 2-1 County, but can I see that happening really? Look, I actually think it'll finish a draw. I can see a score draw, I can see a 1-1, but just because I want to be positive and I always want to back us, I am going to go with a narrow Stockport County 1-0 win. So I want to get your score prediction in the comment section below as always. Of course, what are your thoughts on the result and performance last week? How positive are you going into the game this weekend against Huddersfield? Of course, it would be remiss of me to mention as well the fact that happy 50th birthday to Dave Challoner. Of course, it is his birthday today. What he's done for the football club, or what he's helped do for the football club over the last couple of years, has been unbelievable, and hopefully it'll be another memorable season, even if at the moment it doesn't really look like it's going in that direction. Like I say, a couple of wins and things sort of turn around very quickly, so hopefully that can happen. Happy birthday to Challoner, and hopefully we can get a win for him and well, for everyone this weekend against Huddersfield. So hopefully we can get that narrow 1-0 win, but I wouldn't mind us getting a second as well in this game this weekend. So yeah, I want to hear your thoughts, of course, in the comment section below as always. Don't forget to like the video if you have enjoyed it. Do subscribe if you are new. The match vlog will be out post-match after Saturday at some point, maybe early hours Sunday morning, depending on when it's all done and dusted. But yeah, keep your eyes peeled for that one. Hopefully you enjoy it, and as always, thanks for watching.